With Assassin's Creed Origins only 1 week from release, I thought what better time to go over the story so far of Assassin's Creed. Origins looks to revitalise the story we all held so dear and give it a new burst of life. I'm sure there are people out there who haven't played the previous games or have just forgotten some details to the overarching story of Assassin's Creed. Well, don't worry folks, James has got you back. That's me. After this video, you'll be able to go into Assassin's Creed Origins understanding the story in its entirety. So without further ado, let's get started and go over the events that led up to Assassin's Creed Origins. I'm going to start off our story on March 13th, 1987. This is the date that the catalyst for our story, Desmond Miles, was born in a place called The Farm within the Black Hills of South Dakota.
The farm. Yeah, they called it The Farm. My parents, 24 couples, some kids, a community. Hidden away. The farm. It wasn't much of one, was it? Not a proper farm. We grew some food. I don't remember any animals, though. Maybe a few dogs. Ever since I was young, they never stopped saying it. You are an assassin. You are an assassin. And this is our creed.
Desmond was raised by his mother and father, his father being William Miles and his mother's name still unknown to us. He was told he was an assassin, and as were all the people of the farm. Apparently, an order that had spanned thousands of years. Him and other children were trained to hone their stealth skills, their fighting skills, their perceptive skills, and were also taught to use their environment to their advantage with things like climbing. The community was tight-knit, but as Desmond got older, he started questioning the things people were telling him. Conspiracy theories about a pharmaceutical company known as Abstergo. This couldn't possibly be true. His parents and everyone in this off-the-grid town was insane. Desmond had to get away. March 13th, 2003, the day of Desmond's 16th birthday. Desmond didn't want to be used to further his father's goals, which he thought were just insane. He used the minimal skills he'd learned from his time being trained at the farm and escaped. He managed to find his way from South Dakota to New York City, where he quickly became a bartender at a club called Bad Weather. 2 years later, in 2005, another of William Miles' pupils, Lucy Stillman, had her ties to the Assassins cut in order to infiltrate Abstergo Industries, the pharmaceutical company I mentioned earlier. She was contacted by a man by the name of Warren Vidic, who took interest in her ability for cognitive neuroscience. She became Vidic's assistant on a project called Animus, a project hidden deep within Abstergo Industries. In 2007, a man named Clay Kaczmarek began his training under William Miles for the Assassin Order. 4 years later, Clay was abducted by the Lineage Discovery and Acquisition Department of Abstergo Industries and became the 16th subject in the Animus project. Now we move on to 2012. Now this is where everything just kicks up a gear. August 8th, 2012. Clay Kaczmarek was found dead in his cell at Abstergo Industries. He cut himself and used the blood to write messages all over the walls of the Abstergo laboratory, which he was held in. Later, on September 1st, 2012, Desmond Miles was kidnapped by the same men who kidnapped Clay. He's knocked unconscious and transported to an Abstergo facility somewhere in Rome. It's been 9 years since Desmond escaped from the farm, and all this is coming back to haunt him now. Why? The next thing Desmond sees is fuzzy. It's hard to make out, everything is flashing, and there's two voices in his head, voices he can't quite pinpoint in the world around him. He can see a large castle, looks ancient. Everything goes white for a moment and he can see new things. A marketplace? There's a fountain. Desmond can't quite figure out what's going on, and he thinks he's losing his mind. Just as the panic sets in, he's brought back to reality. Desmond springs up to see he's in a lab. He's introduced to the people around him, clearly some kind of scientists wearing lab coats. They are Warren Vidic and Lucy Stillman, and Desmond has been brought onto the Animus project as Subject 17. There is no way for Desmond to escape, all he can do is play along. The Animus project soon reveals itself to Desmond, explained by his captors.
You're inside the Animus.
Which is...
It's a projector that renders genetic memories in 3 dimensions. What is a memory, Mr. Miles?
It's the recollection of a past event.
Specific to the individual remembering the event.
Yeah, sure.
What if I told you that the human body not only housed an individual's memory, but the memories of his ancestors as well? Genetic memory, if you will. Migration, hibernation, reproduction. How do animals know when and where to go? What to do?
That's just animal instinct.
Now you're arguing semantics, Mr. Miles. Whatever you call it, the fact remains. These creatures hold knowledge absent the requisite first-hand experience. I've spent the past 30 years trying to understand why. I discovered something most fascinating. Our DNA functions as an archive. It contains not only genetic instructions passed down from previous generations, but memories as well. The memories of our ancestors.
And the Animus lets you decode and read these DNA files.
Precisely.
Desmond is forced to relive the memories of one of his ancestors who lived nearly 1,000 years ago. Altair ibn al-Ahad, an assassin engaged in a war with a rival order known as the Templars, who seek to control mankind. Desmond is exploring Altair's memories in order to locate something known as the Apple of Eden. This is an artifact left behind by a precursor race named the Isu, and it allows the control of men's minds. Over the course of the week he is at Abstergo, he overhears conversations, pickpockets password keys, and gets closer with Lucy Stillman, learning she is in fact an assassin on the inside. She also explains that Abstergo is the modern-day front for the Templars. Maybe she's his key to escaping. On September 8th, Desmond completes the memory that Abstergo was trying to access within Altair's DNA. The memory which details the location of various pieces of Eden all across the globe. When exiting the Animus this time, he gained enough synchronization with his ancestor to access an ability called Eagle Vision. It's a sixth sense which was used by Altair and is accessible to all humans, although some with high precursor DNA access it easier, or if you've been exposed to the ability within the Animus, which is the case with Desmond. While using Eagle Vision, Desmond was able to see the blood scrawled all over the building by Clay, Subject 16. The origins of this was unknown to Desmond. He followed it to his room, in which there was plenty of blood markings all over the room. Somewhat took Desmond's breath away. Before he could even begin to analyze what he discovered, Lucy burst into the room, which entirely grabbed Desmond's attention. She led Desmond out of his room. She was helping him escape from Abstergo's building. She asked him one more time to enter the Animus so she could collect data for another of his ancestors, which they would need later, Ezio Auditore da Firenze. Desmond and Lucy fought their way through the Abstergo facility to eventually reach the parking lot, in which Lucy forced Desmond into the trunk for whatever reason, and they proceeded to drive from Rome, probably to somewhere in Florence, although it could be Rome. I'm not entirely certain, they never actually stated. When arriving at their hideout, Lucy explained that they needed to train Desmond by using something known as the bleeding effect.
There was a reason for the escape, Desmond.
Figures.
We need your help.
For what? Another treasure hunt through time?
Abstergo's gonna replace their Apple of Eden. The map your ancestor found guarantees it. The other assassins, they'll do what they can, where they can, but...
What? What is it?
We're losing this war, Desmond. The Templars are too powerful. And every day, more of us die.
I still don't see how I fit into things.
We're going to train you. Turn you into one of us.
What? No. No, you've seen me in action. I'm no good at this, and even if I was, it would take months. Years even.
No. Not with the Animus. Not with the bleeding effect.
But I'm just one guy.
Sometimes, that's all you need.
So that's why you found him. My ancestor. What was his name? Ezio?
If you can follow in his footsteps, you'll learn everything he did, just like he did. Years of training, absorbed in a matter of days.
You broke me out of Abstergo and brought me here just to make me an assassin?
Look, there's more to it than that, but it'll have to wait. Trust me, okay?
All right, I'm in. Tell me what you need.
Desmond teams up with this band of assassins, embracing his heritage to take the fight to the Templars. He enters the Animus 2.0 after being acquainted with Sean Hastings and Rebecca Crane. He spends a good few days sifting through the memories of Ezio Auditore, his ancestor from the Italian Renaissance. While in the Animus, Desmond comes across several little blips within the simulation. They end up being symbols, the same symbols which Desmond saw written in blood by Subject 16. They conclude that 16 has left his consciousness within the Abstergo memory core, which Lucy took from Abstergo. By finding all of these symbols and completing puzzles, Desmond unlocks the truth. This video is from one of Clay's Animus sessions. It depicts two people running through an advanced city. They reach the top of a building with Apple in hand. These two people were Adam and Eve, and they led the rebellion against the Isu around 70,000 years ago. Within Ezio's memories, they find what is known as the Vault, an ancient place said to house great power. When Ezio enters, however, there is no great power, just a message from one of the Isu themselves addressing Desmond Miles through Ezio. This woman called Minerva speaks of temples which house similar knowledge and tells Desmond to find them. Now I'm going to pause just here. These temples are never mentioned again. I'm going to assume they realized that finding a bunch of temples was far too difficult and drawn out to tell us a story, so instead they made it one grand temple Desmond had to find, with other mini temples just housing pieces of Eden. Minerva also spoke of a terrible catastrophe which affected the Isu 70,000 years ago, an extinction level event which wiped out their kind and many others on the planet. An event which was set to reoccur on, yep, you guessed it, and even if you didn't guess it, you won't be shocked when I reveal it, December 21st, 2012. Yep, it's one of those stories, but don't worry, they actually handled it pretty fucking well. With the message delivered, Desmond is pulled out of the Animus because the Templars are here. Vidic has come to get Desmond and take him back to Abstergo. Desmond uses his newfound skills to fight the incoming waves of Templar agents and make his way to Vidic. However, Vidic is already in the truck, ready to escape. With no time to lose, Desmond and the gang head to their truck to find another hideout. They can't cross the border due to Abstergo's guards patrolling, so they have to detour to the next place that they can. They pull up at the Auditore Villa in order to set up shop underneath with hopes that Abstergo won't find them. They head underground to set up. With Desmond's bleeding effect getting worse and worse, he's able to see Ezio without being in the Animus. Once they make it to the sanctuary, they spot a triangle on the wall. Once Desmond uses eagle vision, he can see numbers written underneath: 1419, 1420, and 1421. Without any answers, the gang head downstairs to get the Animus set up. This time, Desmond is entering back into Ezio's memories to locate the apple, so the assassins have a one-up against the Templars. Within the Animus, there are more strange symbols left by 16. This time unlocking them is a message straight from 16 himself.
Compiling subsystems, infrastructure, tendons, heart.
Voice.
Subject 16?
Yes. Yes. Subject 17.
You're dead. I saw your blood.
No time. It is far later than you know. Too late to save them.
Who?
She is not who you think she is. Everything you hope to become, everything you hold dear, it's already gone.
Explain. Please.
Eden. In Eden, find Eve. The key, her DNA.
Tell me.
I cannot. The sun. Your son. Too weak. Must replenish energy.
Don't go!
I am with you till the end. Find me in the darkness.
After sifting through more and more memories of Ezio, they locate the apple. It's below the Colosseum. The only issue is they need a password. After once again using eagle vision on the triangle symbol, Sean puts together a theory as to what it means.
1419, 1420. Oh my god.
What?
God.
Tell us already!
I am! The Tetragrammaton, the 72 names of God. You see? They're all contained within 3 verses, Exodus 19 through 21. And get this, you'll like this, if you arrange the 4 Hebrew letters in God's name within an equilateral triangle, their numerical values add up to the same number, 72.
Are you absolutely sure about this?
That's kind of why I'm saying it out loud, Rebecca, yeah, but I haven't got to the kicker yet. Construction on the Colosseum began in the year 72.
I think we have our password.
The gang now head to Rome to find the temple housing the apple. After making his way through the tombs and ruins, Desmond joins back up with the team, and they find themselves in an actual first civilization temple. Perhaps the ones that Minerva mentioned. They make their way through the temple to find a big open space with the apple directly in the center. A few climbing puzzles later and the apple is theirs. Desmond moves closer, symbols spray from the apple, and as Desmond touches the apple, everything freezes. Desmond can't move, and neither can anyone in the room. Desmond turns and begins walking towards Lucy. There's nothing he can do to stop it. In that moment, the apple shows him the truth, shows him what was going to happen.
I killed her, you know. I killed Lucy.
It was the apple, son. It was Juno.
I saw what she was. What would happen if I let her live? I could have stopped myself. I mean, there was a force there. But I didn't have to. I chose to.
Desmond.
Lucy was going to betray us and take the apple back to Abstergo. I saw the satellite launched. I saw them turn it on, and then it failed. Whatever's on the other side of that door, it benefits Juno. We need to be careful.
Hey, I hope it's not uncomfortable for me to ask, but what happened with Lucy?
I don't know.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said anything.
No, it's fine. I really don't know. I was talking to my dad about it. It's hard to say. I mean, Juno definitely took control, but I think I agreed to it on some level. I think I let her in. No. That's not right. It wasn't her. Not exactly. It was more like a program. Does that sound weird? It showed me things.
What'd you see?
That if I didn't stop Lucy, Abstergo would get the apple, and we'd all be dead.
I still don't understand why she turned on us.
I'm sure she thought she was doing the right thing. Do you think Lucy regretted what she was doing?
I used to think I knew her well, but clearly that wasn't the case. So I really can't give you an honest answer.
She seemed so sincere, though. Like she really wanted to make a difference.
Yes, well, when I first met him, I thought the same thing about Cross.
It just keeps happening over and over again.
What does?
Everything.
Don't get weird on me, Desmond.
No, it's fine. I'm fine. Don't worry.
Shit! He's gone into shock. Put him back in the machine. It's the only way to fix this. But the Animus did this to him. Am I the expert or not? Do it.
No.
Desmond is now deep in a coma caused by the apple. A cognitive process is set up by Rebecca to keep him stable within the Animus. He was in the coma for around 20 days. What did he eat and drink? Nothing at all. Nothing fucking at all. It's not like they have medical shit in the Animus or anything, like, to give him sustenance. They just had an Animus. Apparently that means you don't need sustenance while in a coma. Fuck it, I don't know. Within the plane of the Animus, referred to as Animus Island, he meets Subject 16 in person. Here he tells Desmond what he needs to do to find a sync nexus. There's too many conflicting memories in Desmond's mind, so he needs to complete the memories of Ezio and Altair so he can go back to his body. This is exactly what he does. Desmond relives Ezio's memories to the full extent until there's nothing left to show him. When he finally reaches his sync nexus, the Isu known as Jupiter gives Desmond another message.
I see you still have many questions. Who were we? What became of us? What do we desire of you? You will have your answers. Only listen, and I will tell you how. Both before the end and after, we sought to save the world. We built vaults within which to work, each dedicated to a different method of salvation. They were placed underground to avoid the war which raged above, and also as a precaution should we fail in our efforts. Each vault's knowledge was transmitted to a single place. It was our duty, mine, Minerva's, and Juno's, to sort and sample all that was collected. We chose those solutions which held the most promise, and devoted ourselves to testing their merits. 6 we tried in succession, each more encouraging than the last. but none worked. And then the world ended. The earth shook for days, the fires burned for weeks, and when the ash had settled, less than 10,000 of your kind still lived, and far fewer of ours. But we carried on, together, to rebuild, to renew. Listen, you must go there, to the place where we labored and lost. Take my words. Pass them from your head into your hands. That is how you will open the way. But be warned, much still remains in flux, and I do not know how things will end, either in my time or yours.
Desmond opens his eyes to see his father along with Sean and Rebecca. Desmond hadn't seen his father for 9 years, although he was definitely relieved to see him there. They had arrived at the Grand Temple spoken about by Jupiter. There was no time to lose. They had to enter the Grand Temple to see what secrets it held. With the apple in hand, Desmond opened the door and they went inside. A large door was before them, on the ground a small cube. Desmond placed the cube in an opening. This appeared to be a power source, which would power certain areas of the temple. Desmond needed to find them all if he was ever to progress along with a certain key which would open the door. To find the key, Desmond would need to sift through the memories of another ancestor, Connor Kenway. Desmond would live through Connor's life looking for the key, while every so often being taken out of the Animus to search for another power source. One time in Manhattan, where he encountered Daniel Cross, an ex-assassin now working for the Templars. Another time, Desmond went to Brazil, where he was again intercepted by Daniel Cross. Each of these times, Desmond bested Cross and took the power source back to the temple. Every time Desmond used another power source, he'd find a message or two from Juno, another first Civ who'd been guiding Desmond since Rome. After a power source was found in Cairo, William Miles offered to go and find it. A few days later, the team received a message from Warren Vidic. He'd captured William, and for some reason taken him to the Rome facility, where Desmond was first abducted. It really makes no sense for him to be taken to Rome. I get like it's poignant for Desmond and it's a cool throwback, but like, why didn't they have him taken to a facility in Cairo, or to a US one, since the company is based in the United States? Plus, how did Vidic even get this to happen? He's the head of the Animus Project, he's not some high-up Templar. I have no idea how he managed to arrange with Alan Rickon to allow the father of one of the most notorious assassins to be transferred to his Rome facility so he could try and pull a cheeky switcheroo and get the apple, especially when Rickon wants the apple so badly. It seems like a really dumb move. Anyways, Desmond heads to the Rome facility with the apple. He takes out Cross in the process and meets with Vidic. Desmond extends his arm with the apple as if to be handing it over when he activates it. All the men in the room kill themselves except for one who Desmond influences to shoot Vidic. With his father free and Vidic dead, they head back to the Grand Temple to finish their work. Desmond locates the key within Connor's memories, and they find it and use it to unlock the door within the Grand Temple. Once they enter, they find Juno has been imprisoned within the temple. Touching the pedestal, which is their only hope of saving the world, will let her out. They also find that Juno has very, very evil intentions. Desmond is given an ultimatum by Juno and Minerva, who give Desmond two options. Either let the world be consumed by fire and destruction like it did 70,000 years ago to keep Juno imprisoned in the temple, or save the world by using the Eye, which will in turn free Juno, who wishes to enslave the human race. It'll also kill Desmond too, by the way. I forgot to mention that bit. Desmond chooses to use the pedestal to save the world, insisting that although Juno may have plans for destruction, they will find a way to stop her, with there being no hope in the alternative. Desmond says his final goodbyes to his father and friends, and touches the pedestal. His DNA communes with it, putting a protective barrier around the planet, however releasing Juno into the world.
There isn't time.
Son.
You know it's true. It's already started. I need to do this now. So go. Go!
Around 15 hours later, Desmond's body is found by Abstergo. His body is bagged up and taken to Abstergo for research. Abstergo dissect Desmond's body, essentially rendering it just bits and pieces, in order to take his DNA so that other people may relive his memories, as they contained valuable information. Following this, Abstergo set up a new division known as Abstergo Entertainment, who use Animus Tech alongside Desmond Miles and many others' DNA in order to produce video games made from real historical events. The money brought in from selling these video games allows for much more profit, which goes to funding projects at Abstergo Industries. Gavin Banks of the Altair 2, which is a ship, who was a member of the Assassin's Brotherhood, received William Miles' Codex after Desmond's death, which detailed all of William's knowledge, and it also named Gavin Banks the new mentor of the Brotherhood. In late 2013, a new employee at Abstergo Entertainment was tasked with sifting through the memories of Edward Kenway upon the Sample 17 floor of Abstergo Entertainment's Montreal studio. The employee was in search of something called the Observatory, which is literally never mentioned again, so forget I even bothered saying it. An IT technician by the name of John Standish, who worked with this employee in order to get information from within Abstergo to the Assassins, turned out to be a sage, an incarnation of Juno's husband Aita, which Juno implanted within the human genome around 70,000 years ago. This means that any human has the potential to randomly have the memories of Aita, which Juno wants to try and sequence in order to bring back her husband. John Standish was cornered, at which point he killed himself with a gunshot to the head. His body was taken to the Paris research facility of Abstergo Industries for Dr. Grammatica to conduct research for what is known as the Phoenix Project, a project designed to sequence a precursor genome to explore their memories and potentially bring them back. At some point, I'll also add that Johanny Otzoberg, who was the top of his game at the Abstergo training program in 2012, was made head of Sigma Team, who were an elite team of Templar operatives. The crew of the Altair 2 met with a woman called Galina Verona, who was a member of the Assassin's cell near Moscow. Her cell had lost their minds due to the bleeding effect from the Animus. She had the full support of Altair 2's crew, who helped her track down and eliminate the remaining members of her cell, as they had become deranged and dangerous. These people included her own mother and sister. Her mother was hooked up to an Animus, connected to Juno. Johanny Otzoberg also carried out many expeditions in this time, one to Germany to search for the Ankh of Isis. He found it to be a dead end and so set out for Cuba. He led an expedition to Jamaica to look for the observatory seen in Edward Kenway's memories. He found after days of digging that there was a collapse in the temple within the 18th century, and it appears to be purposefully hidden by the assassins. Not much happened for a little while, but towards the end of 2014, a team of assassins led by Gavin Banks infiltrated the Paris research facility of Abstergo Industries. They destroyed the research lab, also destroying John Standish's body, along with the first Shroud of Eden, which also happened to house the consciousness of an Isu named Consus, who was the one to create many of these pieces of Eden. The Helix servers, a new system from Abstergo, essentially acting as a cloud database for DNA memories, was hit by a virus. Violet DaCosta was tasked with fixing this. Johanny Otso Berg later joined, who tasked a research analyst with delving into the memories of Shay Patrick Cormac, as he believed them valuable to the Templars. Shay was an assassin from the 18th century who went rogue and slaughtered many of the Assassin Brotherhood. Otso Berg sent footage of Shay murdering many of his former comrades to the Assassins, because honestly, I don't know, he's just a little bit fucked up. Then the research analysis joined the Templars, but it doesn't really matter because we never see them again. It's also worth mentioning that around this time, we found out that William Miles actually rejoined the Assassins as the mentor again, so Gavin Banks is no longer the mentor, and William Miles has taken back up his place as the mentor of the Brotherhood. On the Assassin's side, Sean Hastings and a woman known as Bishop, with the aid of a new Helix initiative, which is essentially a cloud with a ton of memories on to be played as video games by the public, enlist the help of a so-called initiate who is playing these video games to locate a sage named Francois Thomas Germain before Abstergo do, by reliving the memories of Arno Victor Dorian. It turns out that the sage has been decayed and his bones hidden within the catacombs of Paris for centuries, so it doesn't matter anyway. In late 2015, a child is brought into an Abstergo clinic in New York City by his mother. When looking at his patrilineal line, they discover that he was the child of Desmond Miles. But not just that, he's also a sage, which means he's the son of Desmond Miles, but also has the genetics and memories of Aita somewhere in his DNA, which could cause problems down the line. Later on that year, Bishop tasked the Initiate once again with traveling through memories of the Animus, this time through the memories of twin assassins Jacob and Evie Fry, to locate the Shroud of Eden. Once located within the Buckingham Palace vault, the assassins sent a team to retrieve it. During this assault, Sigma Team also showed up to claim their prize. Galena beat Otso Berg unconscious but was unable to finish him off. Sean Hastings killed Isabel Ardan, who was the head of historical research at Abstergo Industries, and Violet DaCosta managed to shoot Rebecca Crane, causing her to be greatly injured. The Templars took the Shroud and the assassins retreated. Violet DaCosta handed the Shroud over to Alvaro Gramatica to help him with the Phoenix Project. This was secretly orchestrated by Juno herself. What she's doing with these different playing pieces we don't yet know, but you can bet her plan will finally begin to come together within Assassin's Creed Origins. The following year, in 2016, a criminal by the name of Callum Lynch was to be executed. However, Abstergo faked his death in order to kidnap him and use him for his memories of Aguilar de Nerja in order to find his Apple of Eden. After finding the apple, Callum managed to escape from Abstergo, join the Assassins, and then kill the CEO of Abstergo Industries, Alan Rickett. When we talk about these events being the events of the movie, I more reference the events of the novel, which is far more fleshed out and the lore discrepancies are pretty much resolved. So let's reference the novel and not the movie, which barely makes sense or fits into this video canonically. Although, due to the death of one of literally the head Templars happening here, I thought I may as well include it. Well, that's it. You should be entirely ready for Assassin's Creed Origins in a week's time. This video took me a hell of a long time to make, so a like, a share, or a sub would be appreciated. Perhaps all three. There were a few events I didn't detail, such as Heresy and the comic series. Two reasons for that would be I haven't read the comics, but also I don't feel they were relevant to Assassin's Creed Origins as a whole, and if they are, they'll likely be explained within the game, since plenty of people will not have read the comics. But as I said, thanks for watching. This video literally sucked my soul to produce, but I hope you had a good time. Just a week to go until Assassin's Creed Origins. Cannot fucking wait. See you in my next video. Goodbye.
You people have suffered too long. It's time we take a stand. Unite, 'cause together we're strong. Defy and take my hand. I'm hearing whispers on the wind, born from the shadows. Origins are these the flames I see.